The Earth is an ocean planet, and our ocean is in trouble. If we're going to reverse ocean decline and ensure that we have the science we need for the ocean we want, we have to find new and better ways of involving stakeholders and decision makers in the co-design of science to make sure our science is actionable and impactful. That's the mission of the Ocean Knowledge Action Network, a future Earth global research network with an international project office hosted by a consortium of French research agencies and universities. Over the past several decades, we've made great strides in bringing science to policymakers, but this approach has been insufficient to stop the decline of ocean health and a loss of marine biodiversity. Today, we're seeing a global pivot to a new approach of doing science that puts policy and decision makers first, so that we co-design science from the beginning to meet the needs of those who make decisions about the ocean, including fishers, people that live in coastal communities, planners, aquaculturalists, entrepreneurs, conservationists, industry, and much, much more. Everyone who's committed to a healthy and productive ocean. This new approach envisions the involvement of decision makers and stakeholders in the co-design of science from day one. It requires relationship building, trust building, and new ways for scientists and stakeholders to listen and learn from each other. This new approach to the co-design of science is not monolithic. In fact, we see many incarnations of the co-design of science, each of which seeks different ways of bringing stakeholders and scientists together to create more actionable science. The Ocean Knowledge Action Network seeks to create new ways of connecting people to learn about these approaches and to implement these approaches to co-design ocean science that best meets the needs at hand. At its simplest, the co-design of ocean science for sustainable development requires finding new ways for scientists and end users of science to find each other and to work together. In practice, though, co-designing science requires an ecosystem of actors that, of course, includes scientists and end users, but also requires facilitators and funders. It's also critical that we take a scientific approach to the co-design of science, collecting monitoring and evaluation information to understand whether our approaches to the co-design of science actually lead to better outcomes for the ocean and for people, and to know what are the factors that determine positive outcomes. Connecting these different actors is the first job of the Ocean Knowledge Action Network. Many scientists are eager to begin co-designing science proposals with stakeholders, but a lot has to happen before proposal writing can commence. The Ocean Knowledge Action Network is working with its partners to try to start identifying and prioritizing opportunities where sound ocean science is needed to make sound ocean decisions. This includes working with local stakeholders to map out who is affected by ocean change, who's in a position to make decisions that affect ocean health, who can provide the science that decision makers need, and how can this co-designed science be supported. Only then can we begin to actually co-design science together for a healthy ocean. As more and more stakeholders and scientists dive into the co-design of ocean science, it'll be critical to share information across projects, programs, and networks. Information about what works and what doesn't work, how stakeholders and scientists can best work with each other. Networks are and will be developed to share this information. The Ocean Knowledge Action Network, is helping both to build these networks and create new ways of communicating across these networks. As anyone who belongs to most any type of ocean network knows, the number of networks and the amount of information being generated by these networks is growing exponentially. It's increasingly difficult to keep up with this information flow. Conflicts in network planning and setting conference and symposia dates are the new norm, and cross-postings are the new way of working. And ultimately, the people within all these networks are finding it increasingly difficult to find each other and to connect, making it harder to find partners for the co-design of ocean science and making it harder to share knowledge. To solve these problems, the Ocean Knowledge Action Network has embarked on the development of a new hybrid approach to network building and communication, one that's built around people, but uses the latest digital technology, a technology that embraces the diversity of existing networks, the cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, and technical diversity, yet still allows for agile coordination and communication. This is a hybrid approach that encourages innovation and helps disseminate innovative ideas that work. To develop new ways of working, we start with a limited set of partners working in a handful of places around the world. On the ground, we're working with partners and collaborators in Asia, the Indian Ocean region, Africa, South America, Europe, and North America. These are places where local partners bring scientists together with end users to innovate new ways of working together. These places are also the jumping off point for a network of ocean CAN networks that are each uniquely adapted to work in ways that are culturally, linguistically, and technologically appropriate. Initially, we're also working with just a small subset of programs that have been endorsed by the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. As we learn by doing, we will expand our work to include other decade programs, but also other international initiatives, regional initiatives, and work at the local level, because really everyone who needs to make a decision about living or working in the ocean needs better science and needs co-design science. And of course, we're working with our sister scientific networks, especially those that are part of the Future Earth Network. This short list of collaborators provides a good representation of the kinds of actors that are needed to co-design science. But at the same time, this initial set of partners is small enough so that we can work together to design new ways of collaborating. Our partners also represent vigorous and growing networks that need to find new ways of working together in a network of networks. Person-to-person communication, of course, has its limits. We need more than the old coconut telegraph to connect people. So we've partnered with Actor.Global to design a network of networks platform that'll help existing networks and platforms communicate through a dashboard approach. The platform that we're building with Actor allows for communications across networks, a better understanding for where synergies exist or need to be developed. It creates new ways for individual members of networks to find collaborators in other networks, and it automates knowledge sharing to create a more holistic ecosystem of network communication. The ultimate goal is to create self-organizing networks of scientists, decision makers, and all of the stakeholders who are working together in our shared movement for a healthy ocean. To learn more about the Ocean Knowledge Action Network, to follow our progress, to get involved, or to support our work, please look for us at www.oceancan.org. Thanks very much.